I first want to talk about Ross Douthat. Who has found the problem that Democrats have, ladies and gentlemen, and who have found the problem really that liberals have, broadly speaking, and also has stumbled across how they're responsible for Donald Trump.
Looking forward to this.
When the histories of the Trump era are written from exile in Justin Trudeau's Canada, honestly, yes, F him. Wasn't he the one whining about Donald Trump just a couple of months ago? He's probably already got his place in Montreal.
Oh, or he's working to get back in the good graces.
Right.
As it appears that maybe there's less of an infinitesimal chance that Trump will win this thing.
They will record that it was none other than Jimmy Fallon who brought down the Republic. Or so you might have thought, listening to the furious liberal reaction to Fallon's willingness to treat Trump like any other late-night guest last week. I think people know what he's talking about. I was one of those people who found it craven.
It was.
Look, my issue isn't that he treated him like any late-night guest. My issue is that he invited him on. It's not his responsibility to take down a horrible figure like Donald Trump on national television. But it's also not his responsibility to have him on as a guest. He could get away with it. The head of NBC has already said that Trump is despicable. It's not like someone would say, like, Jimmy. Nevertheless, I'll continue with Ross Douthat. But the Democratic Party's problem in the age of Trump isn't really Jimmy Fallon. Its problem is Samantha Bee. No, let me explain. And he didn't write that. I did. Not Bee alone, of course, but the entire phenomena she embodies. The rapid colonization of new cultural territory by an ascendant social liberalism. Now, there's so many things that are wrong about that sentence and incorrect. He's already created a straw man that, the culture was not already liberal. The culture's been liberal for 40, 50 years. The culture industry has always tilted leftward. Oh, okay. But the swing towards social liberalism among younger Americans and the simultaneous surge of activist energy on the left have created a new dynamic. This is a completely new dynamic, incidentally, folks. None of this happened in the 60s, right? In which areas once considered relatively apolitical now have, or are being pushed to have, an overtly left-wing party line. Well, there is no left-wing party. That party doesn't exist. There's a Democratic Party, there's a Republican Party, there's a Libertarian Party. There's no left-wing party. But he needs to create one, as if there's a left-wing party line. These areas were once considered relatively apolitical, like that institution of late-night TV. Well, Ross Douthat is not an entertainment reporter, so he may not be aware of the fact that in the era that he was talking about, when this was apolitical, there was one late-night comedy show. There are now 8, 10, 12. I'm just talking about it that 1 hour, that time period. On late-night television, it was understood that David Letterman was beloved by coastal liberals and Jay Leno more of a middle American taste. But neither man was prone to delivering hectoring monologues in the style of the Daily Show alums who now dominate late night. Well, first off, they're using David Letterman's skewering of Trump before he was even a candidate in an ad now. David Letterman was quite articulate about George W. Bush. Did he have monologues? Well, no. But no one in that time slot does now either. There are once-a-week shows on HBO and shows that are different, almost like Bill Maher's show, which has been on for 20 years, or Politically Incorrect, which, of course, was a daily show at that time. I mean, all of this is such crap, but, I mean, it's such misinformed crap that it's hard to believe. Does he not have an editor? Fallon's apolitical shtick increasingly makes him an outlier among his peers, many of whom are less comics than propagandists. So they dominate late-night comedy, but they're not even funny. They're just propagandists. And of course, all of those television executives are so political that they would never put on something that wasn't getting ratings that dominates. It both dominates, but it's not funny. It isn't just late-night TV. Well, it isn't even late-night TV, I would suggest. Cultural arenas and institutions that were always liberal are being prodded or dragged further to the left. In other words, our society is moving more towards the left, and Ross Douthat doesn't like it. Award shows are being pushed to shed their genteel limousine liberalism and embrace the race, gender, sexuality agenda in full. Now, Ross Douthat, I don't know how old he is, but I don't know if he remembers when Marlon Brando got up and brought a Native American activist on stage with him. He doesn't. But that would involve this guy who has a column in the New York Times to do some research, and maybe they don't have anybody around there with the internet. Colleges and universities are increasingly acting as indoctrinators for that same agenda, shifting their already lefty consensus under activist pressure. The tabloid industry gave us the apotheosis of Caitlyn Jenner, and ESPN gave her its Arthur Ashe Award. The NBA, the NCAA, and the ACC, nobody's idea of progressive forces usually, are acting as enforcers on behalf of gay and transgender rights. You see what's happening to Ross Douthat.
Less market opportunity for an anti-masturbation, anti-gay rights pundit.
He doesn't like the fact that gay people are not considered abnormal or marginal anymore. And it's making him feel awkward and unloved, even by those sports organizations that he does or does not watch or care about. For the left, these are clear signs of cultural gains, cultural victory. But the scale and swiftness of these victories have created two distinctive political problems for the Democratic Party. But of course, no problem for Ross Douthat. He's just watching the problem that this is causing for the Democratic Party, not that he's feeling really, really uncomfortable. First, within the liberal tent, they have dramatically raised expectations for just how far left our politics can move, while insulating many liberals from the harsh realities of political disagreement in a sprawling 300-plus million person republic. That's an interesting theory. Let's see if he can bear that out. Among millennials especially, there's a growing constituency for whom right-wing ideas are so alien or triggering. It's funny he's saying triggering here, because this is basically a 3-page plea for a safe space for Ross Douthat's awkwardness around the idea that people could be gay or transgender. Left-wing orthodoxy so pervasive and unquestioned that supporting a candidate like Hillary Clinton looks like a needless form of compromise. Well, the reality is in fact, to the extent that people are not supporting Hillary Clinton, whether they're millennials or baby boomers, it has virtually nothing to do with the issues that he's talked about so far.
I thought that it's indexed as Samantha Bee.
Well, but the point is this, is that
No, I'm kidding.
the issues that Hillary Clinton, that people take issue with, have nothing to do with transgender rights. I mean, broadly speaking, I'm sure there are some people do. Transgender rights, marriage equality, these are all ships that have sailed.
No, it's
the
because
issues
of
are
smug,
foreign policy, they're on economics, they're on maybe some sense that she's personally corrupt. Nothing of what he's talking about. Nothing. Zero. So that's a complete straw man. Thus, Clinton's peculiar predicament. She's moved further left than any modern Democratic nominee and absorbed the newer left's Manichaean view of the culture war sufficiently that she finds herself dismissing almost a quarter of the electorate as irredeemable before her donors. Well, frankly, they are. You're one of them, as much as you like to pretend you're not. Yet she still finds herself battling an insurgency on her left flank, which, again, your premise is completely wrong. That's not what she's fighting them on. At the same time, outside the liberal tent, the feeling of being suffocated by the left's cultural dominance is turning voting Republican into an act of cultural rebellion. Wait a second. I feel like he's auditioning for one of those late night spots, because that's fucking hilarious. Which may be one reason the Obama years, so good for liberalism in the culture, have seen sharp GOP gains at every level of the country's government. I got another reason. What is it about Obama that just projects something that...
It has something to do with smug late-night monologues.
Bingo. The spirit of political cultural rebellion is obviously crucial to Trump's act. In other words, anti-PC. In other words, we want to be able to say that gay people are bad, that transgender people are bad, that black people are too uppity, that Muslims should be all rounded up. Pathetic. Pathetic attempt by Ross Douthat.
I feel like he used to be a little more sneaky.
Yeah.
He used to have a little bit sort of better ability to do that sort of thing.
Hey, folks, Sam Seder here. I just got back from a company-wide meeting. Accounting is really coming down on me hard. We need to get to 100,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So please, enjoy this channel. Subscribe. Right up. Right down there.